All right, so we're gonna go just do a quick overview of what this is, and then we're gonna talk about the boost, reading your target, your ship control, and those are like the three real elements, I guess, that I would like consider like the most important. Ship control is going to include the lats piece, but also like the timing of your shot and the pitch and yaw element and role of it. And then pre-turns are an additional piece tying all those three together. And like I think people like talk about pre-turns before they understand the other pieces, and they're like, "Oh, I pre-turn and like I can't find the guy." It's like because boosting, reading the target, and controlling your ship matter more than the thought of like I want to pre-turn, because you could want to pre-turn and do it, but if you're not, you know, boosting, reading the target, and controlling your ship, it's kind of for naught. So, hey, what up, Boga? We're gonna talk about. I mean, we're not going to talk a whole lot about just the basics of wing focus, or you're either being focused, you're on attack, and this is, I mean, there's some gray area in between that, but this is really going to focus on you're on attack, right? So you're free. Somebody on your team is being focused. You're basically free to do whatever the fuck you want. And then there's an in between where you're like getting pip checked and shit like that, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to worry about you being able to go ham. So you're full on. You're not even putting pips in systems. You're just going for it. And then most of this comes down to range control as like a bigger kind of bubble or concept, which is like because boost timing, when to boost and having good boost timing and patience. And I actually I had a motion to not call it boost timing and shit. I wanted to call it boost discipline because that's more the problem. It's like people know that they're supposed to hold their boost, but they don't have the patience and calmness while they're in a winger going at it to like say, oh shit, I need to calm down and just fucking wait to boost, and like everything comes together. So range control is really about the boost discipline and the directional thrusters, and then of course the pre-turns. So the main topics for this are boost mechanics, are just like understanding the basing of it, then the timing and the discipline of it. So I think I got another. So I want to really show this in the game, but like as nerdy as this is, I think it's important. Like I've drawn these like just while we're discussing this shit, and then ended up saving them and just wanted to throw all these thoughts into a slideshow. So basically, your boost, what it comes down to is the everybody's boost is on a static cycle, right? So there's once you boost, there's amount of time that you have to wait, even with pips to system, until you could boost another time, like until you could boost again. And that factor is really what drives competitive Elite Dangerous PvP. Because if you think about it like the knight in chess, right? So that thing can only jump, you know, two up and one to the side, or one up and two to the side, and you can move in these little segmented chunks. Well, that's how your ship is moving. Even though you feel like you're flying it like a fucking name some kind of a combat plane, because I don't know shit about those, but like even though you feel like you're flying a fighter jet, you're not. You're flying the fucking knight from a chess game. You're just moving in these little stupid little chunks. And because that's happening, people who are exploiting that are dunking, and people who think they're flying around in some kind of a jet are getting the shit torn out of themselves because they're not exploiting the boost mechanic. So just basically breaking down the boost, you have this boost cycle, which is the general whatever it is, 5 seconds, I forget what it is. But when you click boost, so right here, this is your timeline here. When you press boost, there's a short delay, and then you have a full boost duration where your ship is just fucking fully charged. Your lats, your pitch, your yaw, and your rear thrusters are like full on maxed out. And then you have this boost interval where your boost is basically asleep. It's dead. Your ship is basically a brick, just drifting in the direction where your boost died off. So when we talk about like your boost being dead or whatever, I mean that's kind of this boost interval piece, and then your next boost becomes available. So not yeah, as you see, none of this is to scale, but the concept is there's a short delay, you get maxed out like fucking coke fiend duration, and then you're just passed out, right? So you come down and you're not doing anything. So I kind of already explained these bullet points, but basically understanding you're highly evasive and then you have limited evasion. You want to think about this in the concept of their ship, right? The person you're trying to kill is moving in these like little chunks. They boost, and then they can go, and then they're dead. They're just sitting there. So the whole point is to get them during that dead point. And this is just another kind of animation showing you boost, and you can freak out. You can go squirrely and flip around, but then at the end, you're literally moving in a straight line. I mean, and let's call it for you know, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of manipulation you could do, and there's definitely movement you can create during that interval, but you're the most vulnerable during the boost interval when your boost is dead and you're basically traveling in a straight line. So that is what good pilots exploit, and people who don't understand this think they're flying like this the whole time in the green like a jet pilot, and really they're boosting and then they're just sitting here and they're getting shit on right here and they don't understand why. Well, that is why. That is literally it. Elite Dangerous PvP. Exploit the boost mechanic. Okay, so the idea is to boost match. Pretty simple, right? Because you're in an advantageous position where you don't give a fuck. Nobody's shooting you. And then this other guy's like, oh God, if I sit still, I'm going to get destroyed. So what do? They boost. Oh, good. Now they fucked up. They boosted. So your goal is to be in the best possible spot when their boost dies. You want to literally be with your nose sitting on their ship so that you could just unload your whatever you got, let's say PAs, right on top of them. So your opponent boosts, you boost right after, they die, you're sitting there and you're able to fire your PA. So this whole mess, we are not going to read this wall of text. I'm going to explain that showing video. Okay. So one last thing I want to explain with this diagram before, we're spending 90% of the time watching video. Your opponent boosts, you boost, your PAs have travel time, and your PAs travel in a straight line. Well, luckily, we already explained that when they're vulnerable, they're also traveling in a straight line. So your whole goal, get in a position close and in a good trajectory so that when you fire your PAs, you fire them right when they go into their boost interval, right when their ship goes into a straight line, where coincidentally your PAs go in a straight line. If you time it perfect, you will hit almost every time. So this, don't worry about all the words. Just basically what this means is, I'll ask you a question. So have you guys ever been in a match where you're hitting the circle every time? You're close to the person, you're hitting the circle with your shots, with your PAs, but nothing lands. That has to have
Yep,
happened.
and you guys lied
Yeah,
to me.
definitely.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
lied
Used
to me.
to
You
be
kept
that
telling
way.
me to shoot the circle,
Yeah.
so I shot the circle and then missed.
Yeah. So that's literally this. That is literally this right here. Your opponent boosts, your boost timing, you're out of sync. So then you boost in the middle of their boost. When you get into a close position to fire, you fire right here, right? So you're firing right here. Your PAs are traveling to hit them, but they've already boosted again and they moved away from that spot. That's all it is. And that's why I was saying, like, you could be the best shot, like most accurate person in elite, but if you don't know how to control your ship, stay close, match vectors, and time your boost, it doesn't matter. You can't guess where their ship is going to go. Once it boosts, I'm saying, and you let those PAs loose, if you hit, it's really luck. In the videos I'm going to show, I'll kind of emphasize that and show that. In the finals, there's like a very specific point when I'm focusing Walking Dead, and I'm literally like hitting the circle perfectly and I'm not getting any PAs to land. And then like not even 20 seconds later, I get back in sync with my boosts. I'm missing the circle, but I'm close enough and on the boost timing that it's actually hitting. And it's not luck. I'm missing because it's like kind of a desperation moment because I know I have a limited timer to fire the shot before he boosts. But I know that if I get it close enough, and because I'm close to his ship and his boost is dead, it's gonna hit, right? So it's not about like, oh, my aim is good. And don't get me wrong, aim is important, but everything else is more important. So I want to go in and start watching some videos. So this is where like the pieces really come together.
So on these videos, guys, what you want to look out for when he boosts, like if you're having trouble telling when Scarecrow's boosting, look at his engine capacitor and look for that to drain. And also look for him boosting obviously after the opponent's circle moves. But if you're like kind of having trouble watching the videos telling when Scarecrow's boosting because of the sound or whatever, just look for that engine capacitor to drain because it really does help.
Okay, so and that's exactly right. So because we don't have audio, I'll try to call out when the boost happens, but because there's no audio and because when your ship boosts, there's not a really noticeable thing. Like if I redo these videos, maybe I'll like add some kind of a thing. I don't know, like an eggplant, like right in the middle of the screen when I boost, so like you could kind of visually see when I press the button. But ultimately, it all starts with it first starts in the sequence of proper boosting. It starts with reading their boost and boost timing, and then I'll like kind of piece together all the important elements. But let's just like basically start with how do you boost right after their boost. So in the simplest sense, you want to get this reticle somewhere in your view here, ideally in here somewhere, and you want to know where that ship is at. So right now, look at, you can see he's facing kind of towards me, and he's down and to my right. So he's down in this vicinity somewhere, facing this way. So like pretty much know he's going to boost towards me, right? So what I want to do is I want to get my ship, and I want to have my ship as still as possible. And one thing you're going to notice, I'm doing a lot of rotating and moving and stuff, but right around the time that he's going to boost, I try to get my ship as motionless as possible for like, and it's not long, it's maybe a quarter of a second, so that I can notice his reticle jump. And the reticle jumping is the most obvious indicator to a boost. Trying to watch the time, or I'm sorry, the distance on his ship, that's not great. Watching their thrusters, never watch their thrusters. That's terrible, because if somebody's using their rear thrusters as just like casual flying, but they weren't the second before, it's going to look like they boosted. So really it's this reticle jumping. So I put this in 50% speed. I don't know if that's going to be slow enough, but I'm just going to let some of this roll and then kind of talk about it. I've never trained off this video, but I've watched it before. I think it's pretty good for a focus video. So here we go. So okay, I fire, I'm waiting, and hit him. Here's my boost. So let's start stringing some together. So I'm going to bring it in. He should be in his dead point of his boost. I fire. Now I'm waiting. He boosted. I boosted. So we'll watch a few of these. It'll start to make sense. So I'm going to use my lats, pull it in, fire. Now I'm going to wait. Man, these are actually really hard boosts to read. That's why I should go to the zero scope vid. So lat, I fire. Now watch this thing jump. Right there, it just jumped. I guess it's really hard to notice on this one. So he boosted. I'm latting. And let me pause it real quick. You have to get familiar with the feeling of how long each ship boost time or boost duration is too, right? So that's another piece of it. It's not really obvious. You kind of know how long the boost duration is, and having that feeling, which I think it's like 5 seconds, I can't remember, but it's something like that. Knowing the general boost duration so you know when to wait to boost is also important. So all right, I'm going to fire. Now I'm watching. Boom, it just jumped. That one was really obvious, actually. That one was great. So I'm going to flash it back. So okay, I rewinded it. So I'm going to fire this volley. Now watch that reticle jump. Boom, right there. As soon as that happened, I boosted. Okay, so now I'm flying in. I'm going to fire, and then I'm going to sit as still as possible and wait for him to boost. Chilling. Boom, he boosted. I boost again. So I'm like, right now I'm like locked in as hell on this guy. Like he is, and so one point I like to make is like it doesn't matter how good somebody is. If you get locked in on their boost pattern and they don't try to account for that, they're as good as any scrub who's ever played the game. Maybe not that bad, but I mean, it's like there's no magical trick somebody could do once you're locked in on their boost timing, except try to either A, throw you off of their boost timing, which is by either consecutively boosting really fast, or what I do is I will try to take distance on you, because even if your boost timing good on me, but I have distance on you, then your boost timing is less useful if I'm 2.5K away. So what I'll do is try to joust to separate. I try to do both. I try to change my boost timing, like how frequently I'm boosting. I'll either delay it or speed it up, and then I try to boost through you so that, yeah, you'll hit me when I joust you, but now I might end up 3K away from you. Understand that once you get locked in, it just becomes about repeating the pattern. That is when you start to just dump DPS on people. So this is the most simple thing, right? We're just talking about reading their ship to predict their boost timing. So that is not all that matters, but that's the first element of it. So I'm going to flash it back a little bit and just kind of let it roll again. So again, I fire the shot here. Now I'm going to wait. Boom, it jumps. And then you see down here, I boost. And then there's going to be something I talk about that's important, like where you put the reticle and reading their ship. But again, fire my shot. I'm going to wait for him to boost. Waiting. I see it move. I boost at the exact same time. And then I'm just like in a dance. It's like synchronized swimming, right? I'm just like, we're synchronized. I fire. I'm chilling. Looks like he boosts. I boost at the exact, literally that one I boosted right on top of it. Now I'm just like fucking synchronized swimming with this guy. Gonna fire. Waiting for him to boost. He boosts right there. I boost right after again. So I'm just like boosting right on top of every one of his boosts, and he cannot get more than like 1.3k away from me. All right, so I mean, you see, I guess it's pretty simple there. Is there any questions on that? Like, again, most simple element is I'm synchronizing my boost pattern to their boost pattern and trying to boost immediately after. Now that is literally like just opening the door. That is not the whole answer. Like you're at the very baby step, and I think people get hung up on that boost timing thing, and they think it's going to fix everything, and now they just aim, and really that is like 20% of it.
Quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, are you like preemptively judging when his boost interval is and shooting just before it, or are you shooting when his boost interval happens?
No, are you talking about when I fire my PAs?
Yeah.
I am not. So no. So that's exactly the opposite of what you want to do. You want to fire your PAs. You want to let them boost, and then they use all their boost energy, and then their boost energy dies, and you want to fire right there. You do not. So in a wing fight, you do not want to fire after they boost. You want to wait. You have to be very patient with your shot, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about next. So, just this very first piece is like looking at the timing, right? So how do you read the jump? So watch, this is all about reading the jump. So he's going to boost, I boost. So I guess now that we have that, I want to talk about the next piece, and I think what you just asked about spare is the third thing I want to talk about. The first, well, I guess that's the fourth thing. There's two more things I want to talk about that are elements of the range control time on attack process. One of them is reading their overall ship. What does my PowerPoint say?
Orientation.
Attitude.
Yeah, the attitude, the reticle, the hologram, the sensor. So you want to look at their ship and figure out what they're doing, because you're going to behave. You're going to want to fly completely differently depending on if they're facing you, if they're facing away, if they intend to boost to your right, if they intend to boost to your left, and all that. So this is part of the staying close concept, right? So if you're ignoring which way he's facing and which way he's heading and all that, and all you're doing is watching the reticle, it's going to become very pointless very quickly, because he's going to either get away from you, or he's going to joust you, he's going to fly away from you, he's going to fly right to left. So one of the things I'm doing the whole time is, maybe not very consciously, but I'm aware of, it's like, when you're driving on the highway and you're aware of where vehicles are around you, you like know if somebody's in your blind spot or like next to you, and like you could just like change lanes and know nobody's over there. It's kind of like that, like conscious awareness you have to start to develop of where people are at on your sensors. And then the other piece is like, which way is this guy facing, right? Because that is critical for how your boost is going to be. And that's probably like an advanced level thing, and we'll talk about it with the pre-turns. But even important for not pre-turning, just knowing like, okay, is he going to boost right? Is he going to boost left? So I'm going to play it again, and I just want to call it out. So I'm going to fire this shot. I'm aware that he's facing down and kind of towards me, right? So I'm going to boost as soon as he boosts. And this one's really easy because he boosts perpendicular to me. That's easy. I'm going to fire. He's kind of facing me, so I'm going to have to turn up a lot, right? So actually, nope, he did a backflip. So he kind of boosted away, but I'm constantly peeking at his sensors, or I'm sorry, his holograms, so that I know he's repeating this pattern of a backflip every time. I think he thinks it's good. It's not. That's why I'm all over his shit. He keeps just doing this boring backflip. He's boosting and pitching. Look at it. He's pitching up every single time. If he jousted me once, it would put so much pressure on me. But you kind of, okay, here's a good example. Now that he and I are really close, this is where it becomes really important. Like he's facing down to my left, and he's drifting kind of straight back from me. you want to be aware of the direction they're facing, and this is probably more important for people who are lining up to joust you versus people who are trying to run away from you. But you kind of want to just stay aware of where the ship is at in relation to your ship and which way he's facing in the on the sensors. So I guess the whole point is you want to be aware of which way they're facing. Once we jump into the video where with the tournament finals, Walking Dead like puts a shit ton of pressure on you as an attacker because he knows that if he boosts at you, like it puts pressure on you to go find where that spot is where his boost is going to die. So think about it. Like one of the things I said in the very beginning is hitting somebody during their boost interval where their ship is dead and floating is the easiest spot to do damage. People who are good at the game on evasion know that that spot is behind you, right? So if my ship is going to sputter out and drift in a straight line, I want to do that behind the area where the attackers are looking because that forces them to turn their ship around, reacquire the target, reacquire the trajectory, reacquire the reticle, and then fire in a like a literally a fucking second time, right? So I'm gonna skip over that being like number 2 element. The number 3 element is positioning the reticle. So this is where Devin said you got to drink because I'm gonna say it for the first time. So 12 to 6. So the 12 to 6 thing is something I talk about a lot. It doesn't come up a lot for when we're doing sweaty talks in the engineering combat channel, but I think it's really important. For me, it's super important, especially important in rocks. So what 12 to 6 means is I'm actually happen to pause it exactly on a 12 to 6 moment. So 12 to 6, if you think about your windshield here is a clock, 12 up here, 6 down here. During your kind of your boost chase, if you want to call it that, you want the reticle to be at 12 and their ship in relation to your ship to be at 6. And you can see on my sensors it is right now, right? So 12 reticle, 6 ship. So I got this kind of clock formation happening. And now I'm going to play this again and I want you to notice how much effort I put into rolling to keep that 12 to 6. It's like you, and I bet you guys didn't really notice that the first time through, but you'll be surprised. I actually could play it in full speed. So just watch how much I'm trying to keep this reticle at 12, and I'm rolling, and then I'm firing, and then watch, he's going to boost again. All my rolls are just to keep his ship at 12 and the reticle at 6. Which I'm like, you guys probably didn't notice that when I just first played this, but look how evident it is. I'm constantly using my lats, verts, and roll to keep that so that I could just kind of boost and then pitch up at the last second. So this is really important. It's really important because in rock fights primarily, you're spending time pitching at the last minute and moving in a direction to chase the reticle. And if you're doing that down, your dash is going to hide rocks that you're going to fly into. Now, if you're pitching up, you'll be able to see rocks. You're basically able to see in the direction you're moving. That's literally it. But it also helps because I think it helps because your ship has stronger pitch than yaw. So if at the last minute you need to make a quick adjustment to like kind of slingshot a shot out, kind of a Hail Mary, it's easier to do a quick pitch up. And you'll actually see me do it in this 30-second video. There's a point where like I haven't talked about it yet, but I'm mostly aiming with my verts and lats, which you probably don't realize that, but we'll talk about that next. I'm not really aiming with my pitch and yaw. It's almost all, I would say it's about 75% thrusters, and at the last second I usually pitch. Like right there, I just pitched up to kind of just throw the shot because my center dots were like an inch away. I just did a quick like tweak up. But you want to try to avoid aiming with your pitch and yaw. You really do. What you don't want to do is aim. You want to actually bring the reticle to your dots, and that's the that's the next element, right? So there's the boost timing, there's reading their ship, then there's the 12 to 6, and then the fourth element is using your thrusters. And this is where I want to like cement this into your brain that you will never have high DPS if you don't use your thrusters. almost every time. You'll never be good if you don't use your thrusters on offense. So just think about that. You'll.
So Crow, just tell him what you're doing. You're thrusting up into that reticle. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yeah. So
Explain it, and you're changing your trajectory by doing that.
absolutely. So coming back to this and really coming back to this and knowing he's boosting, I'm boosting, right? So now I don't want to fire like back here. I don't want to fire my shot in this region because if I fire here, he's still got all this boost energy where he's moving his ship in like crazy ways and flips. That's why he thinks this stupid backflip he's doing thing probably works on 90% of people because people are firing during this and he's doing flips and twirls and blah blah blah. I want to wait. I'm patiently waiting and what I'm doing is I'm positioning myself so that I could fire right here. Like that is the premium spot, right? Because I fire here, the PA travels and hits him in the dead boost zone. So I'm basically buying time during this period, but what I'm doing to get my ship as close as possible to his ship is I'm adding all those elements together. I'm holding my boost, I'm having boost discipline. I boost. I read his ship. Then I'm keeping it 12 to 6 so it's easy to follow him. And then as soon as or once he boosts, I'm thrusting the entire time towards his reticle. But you don't want to put your dots right on it. You actually, and this is the thing that's like always been hard for me to explain, put into words. But I'm just gonna like let it play and keep restarting it. So here he boosts. Okay, so I am purposely putting my dots, my center dot, right in the middle of his ship. So his ship's down here, the reticle's here. I'm purposely being off kilter from the reticle. I'm purposely in between because what I want to do is not pitch and yaw to bring my dots to the circle. I want to use my thrusters to drag these two closer together. And there's a really important reason you do that. And like, let me search. I'm searching over. Oh, what the fuck?
When you say thrusters, you mean your lats and verts,
Yes.
correct?
Yep. My lats
Okay.
inverts.
All right.
Because so if your ship is here, right, and you're traveling in this direction, and the guy boosts and he goes up here, right? So you boost right here. If you use just you don't use any verts, your ship is going to take kind of this pattern that's going to like sling it around like this, right? Because you're getting pushed from behind immediately. You're getting pushed from behind, and then you could only pitch up so fast, and then you're obviously in space, right? So you're in 0G, and then you're not using your lats at all. So you're kind of like ship is like right here facing this way, but thrusting this way. So you got like a weird like, wet jet or like a whatever you call those things, like a Sea-Doo vibe where you're like kind of sliding. So the whole idea here is, let me see if this works. Oh, you motherfucker. Anyways, let me just do this. So when you're using your thrusters, you're basically forcing the line. How did I end up with this stupid little pencil? You're basically forcing the line to be tighter, right? Because as soon as I boost here, I'm pushing my thrusters on this side. I'm turning my ship and I'm cutting that angle. You're cutting the angle down instead of this big stupid swoosh you would do without it, right? So if you think about the concept and you only have a second or 3 seconds to travel, so 3 seconds puts me here, or let's say 3 seconds puts me here or way the fuck over here. Where's where's the higher accuracy going to be? It's going to be whoever took the shorter path, right? So if you did this big ass swoosh, you're going to be over here. If you cut the angle by using your lats, you're going to be much closer, and you're going to end up traveling in the trajectory where you're because your PAs inherit your ship's movement speed. If you're drifting laterally as opposed to towards the ship's trajectory, it's basically like trying to throw a baseball to somebody who's on a merry-go-round, right? They're moving sideways. You have to like lead them, and you don't want to have to lead it. You want to throw right at somebody, right? So that's kind of the concept of your lats. So I know that was very like kind of theoretical, but watching me put it into play, like Boga said, I'm putting my ship in a position so that I could use the lats all the way up to the point that I want to fire. And if I do it perfectly, I'm going to boost, they're going to boost, I'm going to have this in position, and then I'm going to pull the lats. I'm going to push my lats so that it pulls the circle, and then right at the moment that this happens, right at the moment their ship dies, that reticle intersects with my circle dots, and I fire. That's what I want 100% of the time. And it doesn't happen every time, and you'll see I'll have to make little weird adjustments where like I'll like yaw to get the shot to land, or I pitch. That's because I just did a bad job, but I'm still hitting because, you know, this technique is very good, right? So let's just kind of watch it. So right here, see that weird movement? I just want to really show that. Like right here, you'll see it suck in. Did you guys see the reticle suck into my dots? So he boosts up, I boost right here, and then right there you'll see a real sharp movement right there. That's my lats. 100% my lats pulled that circle down towards my dots. And then you'll just see me repeat this over and over again. So I'm waiting for him to boost. He boosts. I kind of get the 12 and 6, and then right, you're gonna see it sharp right there. That's all. I'm latting up, and then I have to yaw to fix it because I was off target. Concept. You are latting or verting towards the reticle. So right now I'm latting up. Right here, I'm latting up. And again, notice that I'm at any point in that boost cycle, I could, if I wanted to, pitch up and put the circle right on my dots, but I don't want to. But using your rear thrusters or your lateral and vertical thrusters all at the same time actually makes your ship faster than if you just rear thrust, because you have all your thrusters pushing in the same direction. So that's basically the concept of using your vert. So like right now, I'm directional thrusting up. I'm thrusting towards this circle the whole time, and I'm pulling it down and getting it close, and then I know his ship just died, so then I just have to do a stupid little yaw move because I didn't do a perfect boost. It was a bad boost. So I'm thrusting towards this right now. And I'm purposely, even sometimes I'm purposely pitching down, which sounds weird, right? This is the circles up here, but because I want to get there using my thrusters, I will actually pitch down to keep my ship nose neutral so that I have his ship down here, and I'm using my directional thrusters. And this, I think, is probably the biggest element that I see people struggling with. Like they'll get the boost timing down and it's still not great. It's like, 60% boost discipline, where you really want 100% boost discipline. And they'll get that down and they'll kind of do the 12 to 6 thing, but I don't see 100% thruster use. It's just like, fuck, man, you're doing that whole swooping thing that I did in the paint app, right? Like you're doing this weird swooshing thing, and you're half a K further than you could be had you used your verts. And then you're also, keep in mind, you're not zeroing in on their vectors, so your shots are not heading right towards them. You're trying to like throw, you're trying to hit them as they're moving lateral to you. So that I just dumped a whole lot. Are there questions on all that?
So just a different way to put it is you're using your thrusters eliminates drift. So you're not drifting through the turn, I think is another way of saying what you just said, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So here's one thing that I always try to tell people to focus on. If you boost time right and you read the direction of their boost and you used your lats, ideally when you fire, the circle is as close to their ship as possible, right? So like if you could get it almost right on top of their ship, then you had a good boost. Like right there, look how close that is. That's a good boost. All right, now we're spread out, right? Because he boosted laterally, and that means that I am like completely perpendicular to his vector. So I got it pretty close. I hit. You want to get that circle basically on top of their ship. So you're eliminating your lateral drift to his boost. So because like when you get the reticle right on top of their ship, that means you're zeroed in. You're either you guys are heading in the same exact direction at the same exact time. You're drifting in like unison when you get that lined up. So yeah, you're using your lats to eliminate your drift in relation to their boost vector.
Seeing the spread of the reticle for your PU.
Oh yeah, Digi, thank you. Yes.
Of like determining how close you are, like knowing whether you're really close or way too far out.
When to fire, right? So like we talked about this, like you see their boost, you have the feeling for how long this is, right? Like, oh, I get the feeling. I saw his boost. I know it's like 3.5 seconds later, his boost is gonna die. But man, your distance is super important. And Digi brings up a great point. So, but on the FDL, you could determine your distance to a ship based on how your center dots react. So I'm just going to play it at normal speed, and then we'll kind of talk about this after. So just watch the center dots, how they expand and contract. So you see him expanding, and then he boosts, and then they expand, and then they contract, and you see him keep like fluxing in and out. They're perfectly they're a single dot at 2K, and as soon as they start to spread, you're under 2K, which is good for like maybe 1v1s. But in this case, like this will help you know if you're close enough to fire, right? Especially if they're getting bigger right before you fire. Like all these shots, like that's beautiful. Like the size of this, I have no concerns. Once it starts to turn into one dot, like look at that. Like you could see him expand. I know I'm keeping close. That's just something that like you need your brain to process really deep back while you're like, I mean, this is a lot of, oh shit. This is a lot of information to process. The reticle, their boost timing, all that. And like, it only comes from practice. But Digi's point, like these center dots are really nice to be able to read because, a lot of the time he's off your screen, right? He's, like right here, he's off the screen. I'm reading this boost right there. That was a perfect example. I almost never saw him there, right? So after let me flash back more. So I fire here. I never see him. No, it's the next boost. After this shot I fire, I never see him again. Like I fire, I see him in a boost. Oh, nope, maybe it's the next one. I flash back too far. Yeah, there it is. I never really got to see him. I just saw his boost, and then I saw that the dots were wide enough for me to be able to shoot. So that's another important factor. All right, any other questions or comments? I want to jump into like some other video to show you like some examples of like bad boost discipline where it costs me a lot of DPS. This is the one I used to show. It's only 2 minutes, so I could play it in full time. But this one I'll share in chat. I think it's really good to just like break down my rolling and boost timing and all that because there's a lot of really good examples. And I actually have some moments where I kind of suck too. But yeah, you see, boom, he boosts, I boost. Look at that, it's perfectly on top. So now look at, he's facing right towards me, and I took a greedy ass rail shot, and I think I probably missed this next one. Oh, nope, I got lucky. So I'm getting greedy because I'm using the rail here.
So how, like, I know you've got your chart there about your boost timing, but in real time, like when he boosts, like how quick?
Boost immediately. Boost immediately.
As soon as you see his boost.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, just based on human
the jump of the reticle. Right?
Well, yeah, human reaction time, latency, all that. Like if you boost immediately, it's good enough. It's fine. I would just try to boost right after they do. I don't like once you see a boost, I'm not going to be like, all right, now I'm going to wait 1/8 of a second. Like I see the boost and then I boost. But yeah, this is more of like just like trying to keep 12 to 6 and thruster up into the shots, pitch up to do any corrections if I have to, but I don't want to. You don't ever want to have to, but you might have to do little corrections. So this is what I want. This kind of emphasizes the whole, like, if your boost timing is not in sync, but you keep boosting, that even if you hit the circle, you are not going to hit the ship. And that's why it's like, that's why when I watch videos that get dropped in the Get Roasted channel, it's like the first thing I'm going to look at, like, are you boosting on, are you trying to boost in sync? And if when you get out of sync, are you resetting? That's the very first thing I'm going to look at. Everything else is pointless, right? And then the second thing I look at is, okay, your boost timing is good. Are you using thrusters? And then the next thing is, are you firing at the right time, right? So it all kind of predicates off of boosting at the right time. And I'm going to show you here, we were all juiced up and excited for this one-day tourney. This was our first match, and I think I just jumped in and was like fucking all gung-ho and stoned, and I drank pu'er tea and brandy and shit. So I was like,
And your hand was all fucking burned up.
Oh yeah, my wife poured the spaghetti water on me.
Didn't you have like shingles or something too?
No, that was the first tourney.
Jesus.
It's a tradition. He's got to be fucking fucked up somehow.
So that is there's the example. So check it out. I mean, literally, shoot the circle. Fuck you. It means nothing, right? Like that basically tells me, I hit the circle and I'm 1K away and I missed him. The thing you see hit is my rail. But like, look at that. I mean, that's a pretty accurate shot from pretty fucking close, but it just shows you my boost timing was just a tiny bit out of sync. And I'm chasing a dumpster pilot too. Another right. I mean, that one's dead on the money. Shoot the circle. And that's just to kind of emphasize this point that your aim means less. So that is, I mean, that's a good view of it. So look at this. You could see the dots hit the reticle when I fire perfectly. And I just miss. I hit him with the rail. So, that was the second one of the two. So here's both of them again. Really close. Shoot the circle. Definitely makes contact. I miss. Second boost, same exact thing, and that one's crazy because I'm at 1.1K and I miss. But it just goes to show you, like, you're wasting your time if you're out of sync. Completely wasting it. And I hope this drives the point home. Like, you could be the best aim in the world, but if you don't understand the boost mechanic, you're not gonna hit. You're just not. So you see what I do here? I kind of say fuck it, and I'm like, okay, I just hit the circle twice. I need to reset. So I'm flashback real quick. So here's the second shot. Now I miss here, and what I do is I throw FA on to kind of slow myself, and I'm waiting, and I want to reacquire his reticle. I can't find it. I fuck up. So he boosts. I boost. I think I blow another one. So waiting for him to boost. I'm like drifting the wrong way. I have to boost blindly. I'm like really out of sync here. I'm like, fuck. So I'm like, all right, I'm completely going to reset. So which I think the next one here, I find a safe space to boost into and then wait. And that was it right there. So I know this stuff's happening really fast, but watch now. Watch the next 4 boosts. Double tap. Double tap. Double tap. So another PA rail and a cancel. 4th double tap coming up right here. PAs, rail, and then I think he flies into a rock. Oh no, a 5th double tap. So I 5 double tapped him in a row and he hit a rock. So that's how important resetting is. Because had I kept boosting, I might have hit 1 out of 4 boosts. Maybe 1 out of 5. And I think that's what people do and they feel good about it. It's like, you shouldn't feel good. You should not feel good when that's happening. Your goal should be damage on every boost. That's the goal. And if you're not applying damage on every boost, you have to reset because you're going to net more damage if you reset your boost cycle so that you get back in sync. So I think this is like this video is crazy important. It really is. So just watching it again, I come out. He kind of jousted me a little bit. I land the first one kind of lucky. I just graze him. And then from here on out, I'm like a whole second off. He's already boosted. Now I'm boosting like a second late. I'm kind of all over the place. Getting some rail shots, fine. Now look I'm trying to reset. I did a bad job. Oh yeah, so that's one thing I want to make a point of. When you reset, really this is fucking super critical. When you reset, if you're in a rock fight, make sure you're in open space, like you're drifting into an open safe area. Get their reticle somewhere inside your clock here, inside your bigger circle. Get their reticle in here and don't move your ship. Don't pitch or yaw. You could forward or reverse thrust, but if you move your ship, your pitch, your yaw, you're going to fucking manipulate the circle and you're not going to be able to tell when they boosted. So get their reticle in here and then try to just kind of sit still, and that'll make it really noticeable when they boost. And I fucked up. So that's why I lost time. I mean, this is super amateur. Watch. So I want to reset. His reticle goes off the top of my screen, and I didn't pitch high enough, so I couldn't. Oh, it's the next one. So like it's off the screen. I don't get it in here. I can't see it, so I have to boost because I'm drifting away from the fight. That's complete fucking bush league right there. So I wait here and then I kind of blow this one, but you're gonna see I'm gonna resync here in a second. Waiting. Oh, that's another. So I fucked up again. So right there he boosted. Nope, it's the next one. Right here. There he boosted. I boost. So you see how long it took me to reset? I wasted fucking like 4 boosts. Oh yeah, so that one didn't even get me locked in fully. That one just got me close to him. But now you'll see I'm gonna get motionless. Let me flash back real quick. I'm gonna come towards him. I get motionless and sit and I wait. Boom! I saw the boost. I boost. And this is where I do 5 in a row because I resync. This is like one of the most critical wing fight videos, I think, after like you learn all the stuff about how to kind of do this. Seeing me suck dick for like 5 boosts in a row and recognize like I need to fucking reset because otherwise I'm going to do nothing. And doing nothing is just like it's killing your team. It's killing your fucking person on your team who's getting focused. It's letting them run free. I mean, if they run free enough, they'll even start doing damage. I mean, when I'm under focus and I'm not taking fire, I'm going to start fucking attacking. Okay, so that's all I really want to show in this video. I think it's pretty important to recognize when you're out of sync and to reset.
Just real quick, Crow, a good thing about what you were just showing too is you passed up on a shot to maintain the sync that you just started up. Like the one that you were talking about where you couldn't get on target, but you finally matched boosts with him.
Right here. I think it's this.
Yeah, you didn't
this
take
next
the
boost.
Shot.
This next boost right here. Yeah, that one and this one.
Yeah.
It's the next one.
Sometimes passing up on a shot's the better option to maintain your range.
Yep. So this is exactly what Boga's talking about. Other than my rail right there. I mean, I threw a rail out, but that was just kind of arbitrary because I was just waiting, and then boom, like that, I was completely resetting. Like I whole on committed to it, and I mean, we were gonna dunk anyways, but that like really turned this like fight right here, because it's just. If you take 5 double taps while you're banking, I mean, you lost all your fucking health. You're basically done.
So, Crow, see when you're resetting, are you just missing a boost and waiting to match their next boost?
That's it. Yeah. So, I mean, you could fire a PA during a reset, but like Boga said, like my goal was so I recognized I was out of sync. And that's a feeling you should get. Like you should feel kind of gross when you're like out of boost sync, like, oh God, I need to stop this. Right. And then what you do is you kind of like boost towards them into a safe spot so you're not going to drift into rocks. And then you're just drifting with their reticle in the middle of your view. And you're just waiting and you wait for them to boost and you resync, you boost, and boom, you go right back into it. You go right back into attack mode. So yeah, you're just resetting your boost sync. And so I highly recommend you guys watch this finals match of me now that I think the first thing you should do is go have rock fights and focus drills after we do this conversation as soon as possible and try to apply it and know that it's going to be hard and be like, holy shit, this is happening faster than it did in the Crow's video, which is, yeah, that's just how it is. But over time you'll get it. When you have a break and you can watch something, I highly recommend watching this because watching me like dunk on whatever his name is, Brother Loon or whatever, is not as relevant. Watching somebody kind of struggle against somebody who's good, I think will let you see all the mistakes I made. Because Walking Dead is just good. He has a really good sense for when to hold his boost, for when to boost, how to joust, when to fly away, when to fly laterally, when to attack you, like because he does it in this video. He attacks me back. I mean, he makes it really fucking hard under, me, Devin, and Metal, who ended up winning this tourney. He lasted fucking 10 minutes or something under focus from us 3, and we were deleting whole teams in 8 minutes. He lasted like 10 or 11 minutes. You'll learn more watching me struggle against him than watching me just dunk on people, because again, and like I said in chat today, losing or having a hard win is more important than just beating up on people. So like when you have a hard loss or a hard win, I don't feel bad. Be like, what can I learn from it? That's like the most important. All right. So this really becomes relevant. The concept that I talked about of watching the ship angle of somebody's ship. And we haven't had to do it much because you've been watching me shoot absolute shitters. Now versus Walking Dead, it's super fucking important. It's really important, right? So because he's moving in ways where he's purposely putting a shit ton of pressure on me, whereas the other people were not. So like he knows that if we're close, if he jousts me, it's hard for me to react. He knows that if he's far, he could take space or he can go behind a rock. He's taking advantage of any mistake that I'm making because he has really good game sense. So because of that, I need to know the distance of him from me, or not know it, but have a feeling of his distance from me, which way he's facing, and which way I think he's going to boost. And you're going to see a pre-turn that I pulled off because he decided to try to, I think he hot bank jousted me, and I pre-turned him. And after that, I pre-turn rammed him, and after that, he basically left. He backed off on offense because of my pre-turn, which was really, I think, an important point in the match that he was like, "Oh shit, he just fucking pre-turned me." So okay, so watch. I'm kind of watching his ship angle, and this is like a partial pre-turn, which I think is really kind of important. But watch, he turns. Look at that. He turns dead at me. Like you see that, right? Like if you're not paying attention to this, you're going to boost and your dumbass is going to end up over by these rocks and he's going to be flying 5K away. So like that is why you have to pay attention to the way they're facing. So I'm going to flash it back again to boost before, because there's like kind of like a partial pre-turn that I have to pull because again, like I said, he's putting a lot of pressure on me as an attacker. So I get into position, fire the shot. He kind of starts facing me and I recognize that. So I kind of turn away and like go to where I think he's going right there. I don't know if you noticed that. Like I completely left I didn't even see his ship, but I went to where I thought he was going to go based on where he was facing. And I basically met him there. Right. And I used, like Digi said, I used the dots expanding to get a feel for if I was in the right path. And this is where I'm going to go to this fifth concept, which is going to really blow your guys' mind, but you have to use your sensors, which is fucking kind of weird at first, but it goes back to the 12 to 6. You want to keep his ship in this cone here below it, and you want it to come up above your horizon line when you're going to fire. And that's only on pre-turns. Normally you don't need to make sense of it, but once you start to go blind, you're flying basically off the reticle and off your sensors. And I'm going to show you that on this next boost. I'm probably going to put it even slower because, I mean, I think pre-turns are probably, we were teaching pre-turns as a big part of our previous sweat talks. And I think there's such a small part of it because doing the other shit is so much important first than pre-turns. Like not being able to do the stuff we've already talked about and then trying pre-turns is like completely pointless. It's completely pointless. You have to master the boost timing, the reading their ship direction, lats and all that stuff. But I just want to kind of show this anyways because it does tie in. So let me flash forward. Oh, here's where I hit the rock. That's fun. Real proud moment. All right, so I think it's coming up. So here's the first one that's a partial pre-turn. So you can see, look at his ship tilting kind of towards me. And he boosts, so I know I have to like get in front. Like kind of try to keep the reticle on my screen as much as possible. And if I can, I could just fly off the reticle, which is what I did. And I could see I'm really close. That was satisfying. The dots are expanded. And I'm like, okay, he's going to boost at me. Now watch how I read this. I try to wait. I'm trying to wait. I think I actually pre-boosted, which isn't great, but it worked out. So now 100%, I am just watching this circle and I'm trying to get him back up in front. I'm trying to get his ship back on top of the horizon line in the middle of the sensors, which I did. I mean, I like he's like basically just camped in front of me. I mean, you basically at this point you cannot miss, right? So that is probably the hardest to pull off, which that's a 100% blind, totally blind pre-turn. I had to just read my sensors to try to get an idea of where he was ending up. And then I could just easily 5 PAs, boom, right into his ship and a little bump to boot. So I'm going to flash it back so you can see it again. Okay, so watch. I'm like, he's jousting me. Okay, he's jousting me. So you'll see I pipped to assist because I knew he was going to shoot at me, which he did. And then I'm rolling, trying to get his little stick back into the top here. And once I do, I know that means I'm looking at him, right? Because if he's here, I see him. So that is how you do a blind pre-turn. You're flying basically off your feel of the ship and where you think he's at and your sensors.
Now, on your pre-turn, are you doing the turn after your boost or before your boost?
I boost and turn.
Okay.
I mean, you're most likely if you're what am I trying to say? If you're boost matching properly, that's what I was going to say. If you're boost matching properly, you're most likely going to be dead in your boost at that point anyways. Because remember, you're boost matching, so you shot at them when they were in their dead boost, and your boost is dying, so you're kind of just both floating in your dead boost there. And well, that's kind of why jousting somebody on evasion, we're not talking about evasion today, that's why jousting somebody on evasion is really good, because you're both in your dead boost and you're facing that person. Once you boost at them, the person who's attacking you has to boost first and then turn, which is going to push them away from where they want to end up. But you kind of have to. I mean, you could try to start turning, but it's only going to work if you have boost energy left. So this just becomes like kind of boring, I guess. I mean, there's some good fighting happening. I land some shots, I get like land some rails and stuff, but in general, it gets a little boring, in my opinion, for a while. But like I said, I think it's worth watching to see how I'm trying to react to what's what's considered one of the best players of Elite on Xbox. But I want to jump to the end where I have like 4 consecutive pre-turns that I think are really helpful to watch in motion if you're trying to learn pre-turns. So starting right here, this is where I get resynced with him, and these are a lot of like, there's a lot of boost here where you're not going to see his ship on my screen. I'm flying 100% off reticle and dots, hologram, and sensors. And then like I think combining those to kind of like feel. It's like a feel for watching the like speed that the reticle's moving away, knowing where I last saw his ship, and then seeing my reticles expand and collapse. It's really just feel off of those elements. But you're gonna see like there's like 5 boosts in a row where I don't get to see his ship during the boost. And that's where like I think once you do a lot of focus drills, that's where you want to get to, right? Where like you don't need to see his ship. You just need to see the sensor, the motion, the reticle, your target dots, where he's at here and his hologram. So like I try to look at him, but then this isn't a great boost. I get lucky. He has a long delay. His pips must have been in a bad spot right here, because he gave me time to get resynced. But look at, he's looking right at me. So as soon as he boosts, I have to roll and completely commit to the new spot where I think he's going, which I kind of pulled off perfectly. And then he's looking at me again. So I have to do it again. So I kind of lose everything. I just know where he's kind of going, and I use his sensors. I get him back on top in the middle. Then I'm right on top of him. He's looking at me again. I have to commit to go really early here, and I'm flying with the sensor. I'm moving, I'm rolling and ladding to get his ship back to right here, and then I reacquire him up in my out of my windshield, and then boom, hit him again. I think I do a bad pre-turn here. Yeah. Yep. But I think that's everything. I think that is all we should cover today on offense. I think the pre-turn stuff's a little advanced. I think really, it's going to happen, right? You're going to have to try it because somebody's going to joust you. But I'd really focus on the basic elements. So the boost timing. Well, I guess first you're reading their ship, which way they're facing, then get the boost timing right, then use the thrusters, and then know when to fire. So and then you just repeat that. Any questions on it? How long have we been doing this for?